3 lines are printed on a card. One of them is obviously longer than the other 2. A child could point to it. You could point to it in half a second, in the dark, half asleep. But you are not alone in the room. 6 other people look at the same card. And one by one, every single one of them points to a line that is plainly, visibly wrong. Now it is your turn. The longer line is right there. Your own eyes are screaming at you. And you feel your hands start to move, not toward the line you see, but toward the line they chose. This is the most famous experiment about you ever run. You think you know what it proved? You have been told it proved that people are sheep. And almost everything you were told about it is wrong. The year is 1951. The place is Swarthmore College, a quiet campus outside Philadelphia. The man behind the card is a psychologist named Solomon Asch. He is the son of a Jewish family from a small town in what is now Poland, and he has spent his life watching a question grow louder. Because the world he is living in has just come out of something unthinkable. Whole nations marched in step behind a lie. Ordinary people, clerks, farmers, teachers went along with horror, and afterward almost all of them said the same 3 words. Everyone was doing it. Asch wanted to put that sentence under a microscope, not on a battlefield, not in a courtroom. In a plain room with a plain card, with the cleanest, simplest, most undeniable truth he could find. Which line is longer? Here is the trick. You walk in believing you are one of 8 students taking a simple vision test. You are wrong. The other 7 are actors. They work for Asch, and you are the only real subject in the room. The test could not be easier. A card on the left shows 1 reference line. A card on the right shows 3 lines, A, B, and C. You just say which of the 3 matches the reference. The difference is huge, inches apart. On the first 2 rounds, everyone answers out loud in order, and everyone is correct. The room feels normal, boring even. Then, on the 3rd round, the first actor looks at the obvious answer and calmly names the wrong line. The second actor agrees. The third. The fourth. By the time the circle reaches you, 6 confident, sober adults have all said that a short line is the long one. The truth has not changed. The card has not changed. The only thing in the room that has changed is everyone else. So what did people do? About 75% of subjects caved at least once. They looked at a line they could measure with their own eyes and said the wrong answer out loud, on purpose, just to stay with the group. Asch filmed their faces, and the footage is hard to watch. People squint. They lean in. They laugh nervously. One man drops his voice almost to a whisper, as if saying the wrong answer quietly makes it less of a lie. Afterward, when Asch told them the truth, some insisted they had really seen it that way. Others admitted they knew, they just could not bear to be the only one. To stand alone against 6 certain faces felt physically impossible. Asch himself did not look away from it. The pull to conform in our society, he wrote, was so strong that reasonable, well-meaning young people would call white black. And he warned that this said something troubling about the kind of people our schools and our culture were shaping. And that for 70 years is where the story stops. 75%. People are sheep. Case closed. Except that is not what happened. Look at the number again, slowly. 75% caved at least once across many rounds, which means 25% never caved. Not a single time, no matter how many confident strangers told them they were blind. And the rest, on most of the individual trials, people actually told the truth. When you count answer by answer instead of person by person, the average subject resisted the group roughly 2 times out of 3. The dramatic stat hides the quiet one. Independence, not conformity, was the more common response in that room. Asch knew this. He said it plainly. He wrote that the most striking thing was not how many people yielded, but how many people under real pressure, with no reward and no ally, still trusted their own eyes. He did not run this experiment to prove that humans are sheep. He ran it to find out how, against the pull of the whole group, anyone manages not to be. Then Asch changed one thing, and the result is the part almost nobody quotes. He planted a single ally. Just one of the 7 actors who broke from the others and named the correct line out loud before it was your turn. One honest voice in a room full of pressure. Conformity collapsed. The pressure to cave dropped by around 3/4. It did not even matter if the ally was right about everything. In another version, the ally gave a different wrong answer. And that alone, just the proof that the group was not unanimous, was enough to set people free. The spell was never the majority. The spell was the unbroken majority. Crack it anywhere with one other human being willing to say what they see, and most people find their courage again. And the ally was only the beginning. Asch kept turning the dials, one at a time. He varied the size of the crowd against you. One stranger naming the wrong line did almost nothing. 2 began to bend you. 3 snapped the pressure nearly into full force, and beyond that it barely grew. 10 opponents weighed no more than 3. It was never the size of the crowd. It was that the crowd stood united. Then came the most revealing change of all. Instead of answering out loud, people were allowed to write their choice down in private, unseen by anyone. The wrong answers nearly vanished. Their eyes had worked perfectly the entire time. Conformity was never a failure of seeing. It was the price of being the one face in the room that disagrees, paid out loud in front of everyone. That is the finding Asch cared about. Not that we fold, but how little it takes to make us stand. So why have you only ever heard the sheep version? Because the sheep version is useful to the people who want to move you. The lesson the world took from Asch is people conform. The lesson the world quietly acted on is far more precise. People conform to what looks unanimous. And in the 70 years since, an entire industry has learned to manufacture that look. Think about the last thing you almost bought because thousands of 5-star reviews said it was perfect. Reviews that were purchased in bulk. Think about a trend that felt like everybody believed it, pushed by accounts that were never people at all. Fake crowds, astroturfed outrage. Bot armies built for one purpose: to be the 6 confident actors in the room, so that you, the only real person there, will doubt the line in front of your own eyes. Asch needed 7 paid students and a quiet lab. A modern feed can put 10,000 fake faces around you before breakfast. The experiment everyone cites as proof that humans are weak is actually the instruction manual for the people exploiting that weakness right now. But Asch left us the cure in the same box as the disease. One voice, that is the whole defense. Not a movement, not an army, one other person willing to say out loud, "No, I see it differently." When you are that voice, you are not just saving yourself. The data is clear. You make it dramatically easier for every silent person around you to find theirs. Courage, it turns out, is contagious in exactly the way fear is. So here's the question to carry out of this room. Somewhere in your life there is a card with 3 lines on it. A price everyone calls fair. An opinion everyone calls obvious. A line everyone around you is pointing at and calling the longest, and a quiet part of you can see it is not. You already know which line is right. You always did. The only thing you have to decide is whether you will be the first one to say it. Because the experiment never really ended in 1951. You are in the room right now, and it is your turn to answer.